Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Beauty by the Beaker. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your support on last week's episode. It means so much. The reason that I am jumping in here is because as we were recording, we talked about splitting this into two parts and ultimately decided to press on and keep recording for much longer than we should have. And now that I'm editing, I am deciding to switch it to being two parts. Mostly a general chemistry overview, a little bit of a background on the periodic table, general chemistry stuff, and a little bit of sunscreen. But join us again in 2 weeks where I will be back to tell you even more.
Guys, welcome to episode 2 of Beauty by the Beaker. I can't believe we're back. I can believe it. Can you imagine if we only did one episode?
I'm sure there are people that do.
Probably. But not us. If you didn't see last week's episode, we talked about the history of skincare. It was fun. I hope you learned a lot. And then this week, what are we chatting about?
Well, we kind of teased it last week, but we are going to talk about all things sunscreen. Actually, that's not true. We're not going to talk about all things sunscreen because sunscreen is such a huge topic.
Yeah.
We're actually going to talk about very little things sunscreen, but more things sun to set us up for sunscreens.
I'm so excited.
But we will talk about sunscreen too.
Before we get into it, make sure you're following us on all of our socials. We're BeautyX Beaker. Everywhere you get your socials.
Everywhere that you are social.
You can also visit our website. It's beautyxbeaker.com. We'll have all of Nat's notes on there as well as mine from last week.
Mm-hmm.
And
sources. Because we love sources.
We do. If there's one thing we do here, it's source it up.
If you listened to last week's episode, then you should leave a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know your history of skincare.
That's a good one, actually.
Let me know if you have had any historical skincare moments.
If you've ever used crocodile poop on your face, you are legally obligated to comment and tell us about the experience.
Also, I think it would be fun for people to just comment things that they have tried as skincare, because I am definitely one of those people that used to like put toothpaste on zits.
Same. Or that clay mask that you would put on, and then in order to get it off,
you had to take a Dremel to your face.
Literally. The mask is coming off, and so are the top 4 layers of your skin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've all had horror stories. So let us know your crazy products that you've tried.
Well, do you want me to tell you about my son?
I've been dying to learn more about your son.
Okay, well, technically he's all of our son.
Do you think a giant ball of raging fire is a man or a woman? I feel like that's female rage.
The sun definitely, to me, feels more feminine.
The sun is feminine and the moon is masculine.
Yeah, because the moon just reflects light. It actually doesn't do shit.
Just kidding. Keep that in.
So, summer has come to an end. But what should not come to an end is your use of sunscreen.
That's true.
The purpose of today's episode is not necessarily to tell you everything about sunscreen, but more to help you understand why it is important that you continue to wear sunscreen even if it's not summer.
I love that.
First, we must introduce my son.
Let's meet her.
So once upon a time, there was a massive cloud of space gas and space dust. Outside forces caused it to swirl faster and faster until it flattened into a disk. As it continued spinning with such great speed, the center became hotter and hotter. Eventually, it became so hot that it caused nuclear fusion. And a baby star, my son, was born.
What a beautiful birth story. Do you think the birth was unmedicated?
Yeah, I bet it hurt.
Can you also explain the difference between fusion and fission? Oh, is that later in the episode?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because my next question is, what is nuclear fusion?
Oh!
And how did it birth my son?
Yeah. Tell me more about her.
Well, before we could even begin to understand nuclear fusion, and this is why this episode is not really going to get into sunscreens, is because before we can understand nuclear fusion, which we need to understand in order to understand my sun, we have to first start at the periodic table. Okay?
Ta-da!
If you're watching us on YouTube, which I recommend that you do, because I will put a periodic table here. I'll do the work for you. All you have to do is go watch us on YouTube. And look, there's a periodic table right there for you. You don't even have to do anything else. And then while you're here, you can subscribe and
hit that notification bell.
Exactly. So you might be asking, why is it shaped like that? Why are there so many different colors? Why are there numbers and letters? I'm not going to tell you everything about the periodic table because it turns out that that's an entire college class, and they actually broke it up into 2 different courses. So it would take me approximately 1 full college year to tell you everything about the periodic table. So I won't, but I will give you the basics.
Maybe a semester's worth.
So as you may or may not know, everything in the world is made up of atoms. So the periodic table is a way that you can display those atoms. It's displayed in a way that helps to let us know information about how that atom is going to behave in the world or the universe. Kind of just some characteristics about it.
Because each one's very unique.
Yes, exactly. So what is very important to atoms and to everything is that they are attracted to each other through charge, kind of like a magnet is attracted to another magnet. An atom is made up of 3 different types of particles. We're going all the way back. We're starting at the nucleus, okay? So we have protons, which have a positive charge, electrons, which have a negative charge, and then neutrons, which don't have any charge at all. Like I said, the nucleus, that's in the middle. It has protons, which are the positives, and neutrions, which is a new startup in Provo.
Is it a solar company, yes or no?
Yes.
Can I do summer sales? Nutrient, you need to trademark that. TM.
Hey, it's mine. Yeah. Neutrons, which again, don't have any charge.
Like Jimmy. That's where
exactly.
It comes from.
That's where it gets its name. Protons and neutrons is what's in the middle. That makes the nucleus. And then we have electrons, which are the negatively charged ones, and they just they go around the outside. So we know there's 3 different types. So you, the listener, might be asking, well, how many of each particle is in each atom?
How many? Tell us. Have we figured out a way to display that information?
We know. Because if we look at this periodic table, it is just so that each atom is defined by the number of protons that it has. So if an atom has 1 proton, then it will be a hydrogen atom with 1 proton. If it has 2, it'll be a helium atom.
And that's always the case.
Always. So on and so forth. If you're looking at the periodic table, you'll notice they go in numbers this way. And that is the number of protons they have. If you're getting really, really into the weeds here.
We don't have time to talk about isotopes.
We do not. Well,
we have time to talk about isotopes.
Only a little bit. Usually, an atom will have the same number of electrons that it does protons. So the same amount of positive and negative particles.
They need to balance each other out.
Exactly. They balance each other out. So what about that neutral guy?
He doesn't care.
Well, he doesn't really, because the number of neutrons does not define an atom. In fact, the same type of atom can have different number of neutrons.
How so?
That is called an isotope.
Wow.
And isotopes are really important for the sun, which is why we have to talk about them.
Oh,
okay.
I jumped the gun. I jumped the sun.
You did. So when we're looking at a periodic table, we're assuming that they're all in their neutral state, which means that they're not reacted with anything else. A periodic table is always like a theoretical thing. There are things that exist in non-bonded forms, but almost all atoms are going to be interacting with other atoms and changing, even if it's just for a second, changing its characteristics and borrowing and sharing electrons from other atoms. So when we look at a periodic table, we're assuming that it's just one singular atom all the way by itself. and we would call that a neutral atom. We say that it has one proton and we say that it has one neutron and that it's neutral to be able to categorize it and to be able to talk about it and to be able to predict how it does actually exist.
Because that will affect like how it interacts with other things.
Anyway, kind of a tangent.
We rarely have those here.
We rarely have those. But hydrogen and helium are very, very important to the sun. So obviously we had to give a little bit of background on hydrogen and helium so that we would be able to talk about the sun. And in order for you to understand hydrogen and helium, we needed just a little bit of background on the periodic table. I will be probably giving you a lot more little tidbits of background on the periodic table, but that's where we're going to cap it for now, kind of.
Yeah.
Sort of. So basic understanding. But like we said, there are isotopes, which means that there are different numbers of neutrons, the neutral one. These isotopes are crucial for the sun. So typically, hydrogen has one proton and one electron, no neutrons. But there are isotopes that do have neutrons.
And isotopes are just different versions of it.
Yeah. And this isotope is called protium. That's the most common one. So if an atom has one proton, one electron, and one neutron, so its nucleus has a proton and a neutron now, that's called deuterium.
Ooh.
Some of you, if you're really into war movies, might know deuterium because it's talked about a lot in World War II, which we'll kind of touch on.
That.
I want to say it was mentioned in, what was that new movie with Josh Peck?
Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense for it to be in that movie.
Yeah.
I also love that your connection to World War II is war movies. Not, hey, if you're a history buff, hey, if you like reading books. It's like, if you like watching movies about war, you're going to know about this. My favorite war movie, Oppenheimer. My favorite movie about World War II.
I would argue that it was part of the war.
It did end up being, yes. I would agree.
Anyway. Not my genre.
No, listen.
Oppenheimer was good, though.
It was really good. I want to rewatch it.
So if it has one neutron, it's a deuterium. This is very rare. And then it can have two neutrons. This is even more rare. And that's called, I want to say it's pronounced tritium. That would make sense, right? Protium, deuterium, tritium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is quatrium.
Non-existent. For hydrogen isotopes, it's kind of a percentage.
Yeah.
Where like a percentage of them are deuterium and an even smaller percentage of them are tritium and most of them are protium. And I think it's just because
it's just random.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of, one of those it's more like random
the chaos
things.
Theory in our universe.
Yeah.
It's just random.
So you might be wondering, again, looking at our periodic table, why are hydrogen and helium not next to each other? Why are they alone? Why are they so far away from each other? Why is one all the way over there and one's all the way over there if the only difference is that one has one proton and one has two protons?
For the sake of symmetry. It's really about aesthetics.
It looks better that way. No. The reason why
Don't be silly.
Because remember how we talked about how the electrons, they go around the outside.
They're saying catch me outside.
They do so in a very organized way. So for today, we'll just refer to them as shells. More specifically, they go around in orbitals. So it's the pattern in which it orbits the nucleus.
You can kind of, if you're visualizing it in your head, just visualize it like the
brain blast.
Yeah, just like the moon going around the earth, or like just something orbiting something else for simplicity.
Yeah. And when you are learning this for the first time, and why I am referring to them as shells instead of orbitals, either one is fine, is because when you use the term shells, then the image that is associated with it is usually a circle in the middle for the nucleus and then just like rings around it. Yeah. Which is a simpler way to see it.
Like Saturn almost.
Yeah. Or just like the solar system where like the sun is the nucleus and the planets are all in their own shell. So it's kind of like that, but electrons that go around do it in an organized way, and it's based on the shells. So it's a little bit hard to understand. And like I said, people get entire degrees just around the periodic table.
Yeah.
So if you are at home and you're like, oh my God, I don't understand any of this. This doesn't make any sense. I feel like I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's okay. It actually doesn't really matter that much.
No.
This is more just if you're interested. The first shell of electrons can only have 2 in it. After that, they hold 8. If we're going this way, the first one, hydrogen, it has its proton in the middle, and then it has 1 shell because it only has 1 electron. And your electron is always going to be in your lowest shell, your closest shell. So it only has 1, so it's in the closest one, and it's going around there. The next one, it only has 2, but the closest shell only holds 2. So helium, even though it only has 2, that whole shell is full.
Yeah.
So that whole row over there is called noble gases or inert gases. And the reason they're all the way over there is because what they have in common is that they have a full outer shell. There are 8 rows, columns, periods?
I don't even know.
I don't remember, but there are 8 of them.
8.
All right, sorry. I was speaking as an organic chemist. There are clearly not 8 columns. There are 18. But you might be asking, why did we skip that whole middle section? Why is it not right next to it? The D block, as it is called. Well, it's because of the D orbital. It can hold 10 electrons. And I don't really want to talk about it. It stresses me out. For the first 2, there's only 2 electrons in the first shell. So that's hydrogen and helium. That's their max capacity. But then lithium, it can have 3. It'll fill its shell with 2, but then it gets a new shell with 1.
Yeah.
Now it has 6 empty spots.
Because
7 empty spots.
Because it's important to note that the goal is always to have full shells.
Yes.
You want it filled.
Yeah.
And if it's not filled, there's some sort of reactivity because you want to have a full shell.
Yeah.
You being the atom.
Yeah, like you said, they want to have a full outer shell.
Yeah.
That's where they're happiest. That's where they feel the most secure and at ease. Basically, each one has a capacity for how many friends that it wants to have. And we can predict how it's going to react and what types of compounds it's going to form based on how many electrons it has in its shell. So the ones on this side of the periodic table,
this being the left,
this
side
being
for
the left,
audio
if you're
listeners.
if you're lame and you're only audio, just kidding. I love you too. Those ones have fewer electrons in their outer shell, and for that reason, they're kind of more tempted to just give them up. Whereas the ones on the other side, they only need like 1 or 2 to fill their shell, so they're more likely to take.
Yeah.
We will touch on that a lot more. All you really need to take from this is hydrogen and helium. Those are our main focuses today because they're in the sun. Now, you're probably wondering, you mentioned nuclear fusion so long ago.
Ages.
Are we actually going to talk about it?
Please, I'm begging.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what the difference is between nuclear fusion and nuclear.
Do you say nuclear or nuclear?
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Yeah, that's the right way.
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
That's crazy.
I know.
I can't get that in my head. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it's nuclear.
Okay, so nuclear.
Ooh, sorry.
Nuclear fusion is when 2 lighter elements come together to make a heavier element. This process requires a lot of heat. Maybe, potentially, the heat that is formed from a giant spinning space disk.
Maybe. Who's to say?
Maybe. It requires a lot of energy, but then once the reaction takes place, it puts out an even greater amount of energy. High activation energy, even higher energy output.
It takes a lot of work for it to happen, but then it also releases
a lot
of heat afterwards, after it's all done.
Exactly. That heat that it lets out can then act as the activation energy required for another fusion to happen or other fusions to happen. So the parents of our sun are those rare hydrogen isotopes that we talked about earlier, deuterium and tritium.
Ooh.
Okay.
I remember them.
I hope so. They're stars of the show. And if they get really, really, really hot, like millions of degrees hot, then they bump into each other.
Just two hotties bumping into each other.
Two hotties and they just like bump into each other, then just for one little moment, it will form a nucleus that because they're really hot. Remember, they're so hot. They're like,
stunning.
They're like millions of degrees. So they bump into each other. And then just for like a little second, because they're both hydrogen isotopes, so they both only have one proton. So just for like one little second, they bump into each other. And for a second, they're helium because there's two of them in there. And they have 3 protons because deuterium brought 1 to the game. Tritium brought 2 to the game. So for just a minute, we have 2 protons, 3 neutrons. Crazy.
That's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a lot going on.
Lots to handle.
And
it's so hot.
It's so hot. Keep in mind, millions of degrees Celsius, I might add.
Oh my God.
Woo, worse. You don't even know what that's like.
You would never understand millions of degrees Celsius. You just wouldn't get it.
So then they kick out a neutron. They say, be gone.
Yeah.
Go away.
Get out of here.
And thus, helium. Okay? 2 protons, 2 neutrons. Helium is born. However, then, it's existing inside of the sun. So it doesn't exist for very long because it probably gets hit by the energy from another thing and, I don't know, melts away its electrons and deteriorates back to hydrogen. But
because, again, it's millions of degrees.
It is
we haven't reiterated that enough already.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a little bit confused because I didn't write down the fission part. I only did the fusion part. Oh. But I do know what nuclear fission is. So.
You said nuclear.
Did I?
Yeah. That's why I asked, because I think at the beginning of the episode you also said nuclear.
Nuclear?
Yeah. I think you're a nuclear girl. Roll the tapes.
No.
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Okay. Nuclear fusion is when 2 lighter elements come together to form a heavier element. And then nuclear fission is the opposite. So a heavier element breaks up into 2 lighter elements. Yeah.
Fission is like, if you've ever heard of a hydrogen bomb, that is nuclear. Nuclear? Wait, it's you! Wait, do I say it too? You have to roll it back. Nuclear? Why does nuclear fission but nuclear fusion feel more correct?
Couldn't tell you. If I'm a little bit off, give me some breaks. I didn't take notes on this, but I will because it's interesting.
Yeah.
So the way that the bomb worked, the nuclear. Okay.
Correct. There's a lot of pressure.
The way that it works is through fission. They fire a neutron at
probably a hydrogen.
It's not hydrogen. It's like
really? Does it split to create hydrogen?
No.
Why is it called a hydrogen bomb?
I'll get there.
Okay, sorry.
Uranium.
Oh.
Uranium.
Duh.
Bomb. A neutron is shot at a uranium, which hits it, splits it.
Did it say why uranium specifically?
I think because it works. Uranium is a heavier element. I don't know what number it is. Actually, I have a periodic table right in front of me. Uranium is element number 92.
That's big.
Yes. So it has 92 protons, 92 electrons.
What type is it? A noble?
It's
not a noble.
Down here in this.
Down there, guy. Oh.
Yeah, it's like
uncategorized.
One of those, like, fake ones.
Yeah.
But it is real,
okay.
Unfortunately. And they shoot a neutron at it and it splits it. That's called nuclear fission. And it is also, it releases a lot of energy.
Yeah. Like a ton of energy.
Like enough to be the activation energy for a fusion reaction. So the way that the bomb works is that initial neutron that's shot at the uranium is the activation energy needed to then set off the hydrogen and have the fission reaction start, which is the actual explosion part.
So it's fusion and fission.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
The fusion reaction, it creates more energy than the fission reaction does, which you wouldn't really think. You would think that breaking up an atom would be a bigger explosion than it would be to put one together, but that is not the case.
It is crazy.
And I have a visual for you.
I have been, is this what you
brought? So again, if you're not watching this on YouTube, there are so many reasons why. Not only do I have a periodic table, but I'm about to pull out an object lesson. Like I mentioned, nuclear fission creates a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to start the process, but then it puts out a lot of energy. That energy causes more reactions to take place, and that starts a chain reaction. That's what's happening in our sun, is that essentially this big disk was spinning around. It got really hot and the hydrogens collided and this whole explosion happened, and then it just kind of kept happening. So the sun is like an active chain reaction, essentially, of this.
Like so many bombs going on. It's just,
constant bombs.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
Yeah. That's one of the concerns that I think they had with the atomic bomb that they dropped, was just that energy that was released by the bomb was going to start a chain reaction that would like consume the whole Earth. So,
but they were like,
worth it.
We might as well try.
Yeah. So super, super cool. Chain reaction. And it's so hot and everything is moving around so fast that you don't even really have like anything at that point. I explained how the atoms kind of come together, but it really doesn't happen for very long because everything is, like we said, millions of degrees Celsius. So everything's moving around super, super fast. So it's kind of less of atoms in any sort of characteristic state and more of just an atom particle soup.
Yeah.
A really hot atom particle soup. But that actually has a name. Plasma.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
I know. Plasma is essentially almost like a gas that is so hot that the electrons have been stripped from the protons. Like I said, it's just kind of like this big soup of electrons and protons moving together. So imagine if you were stirring soup, there's going to be times where there are groupings of one ingredient that are more concentrated than others. Same kind of thing in the sun. Everything's moving around so fast and we have charged particles in there. So we have positive and negative little things going around.
Yeah.
Again, that might be kind of hard for you to understand.
It's fine.
But it's going to cause some waves because
you're stirring the soup.
You're stirring the soup and stirring the soup causes waves.
Yeah.
So this is where I want to show you my object lesson.
Tell me I'm stoked.
All right.
Ooh, I'm excited for this. What is that?
We are going to pretend that this is just a plane of existing.
Okay.
And then I have these two discs. Theoretically, we could say one is a deuterium and one is a tritium.
Okay.
So I put little plus signs on one side and I put little negative signs on one side because as we know about magnets, the positives won't really stick together. The negatives won't really stick together, but the positive and negative do stick together. That's what makes an atom stick together. So if we pretend that these are two hydrogen atoms and we put one on here.
For audio
listeners, it's floating in our plane of existence.
It's like hovering above the base.
So now we're going to pretend that these two things could theoretically, they're getting really hot and they're going to knock into each other.
That's actually crazy. They're just bouncing up and down, like creating movement.
Yeah. So this one's not currently moving, but when they snap together, it causes them to bounce like that because of the energy of them colliding.
Yeah.
And if they were doing this in water or something, you might notice that there's like little ripples coming off of them.
Yeah.
It's harder to recognize with the sun, but it is a giant series of chain atomic bombs. You know that when a big bomb goes off, I mean, honestly, when like a loud noise happens, you can feel the wave almost.
If you've ever watched a war movie.
If you've ever watched a war movie, you can feel the wave. And when we watch a wave in water, you're pushing the water and it's kind of like dominoes, pushing everything else. And that's the same thing that's happening in the sun. Things are colliding and they're making waves, and those waves are going out. And you might be asking yourself, well, okay, how big are the waves going to be? How much energy are they going to put out? Well, that all depends on the size of the particles that are combining, right?
Which makes sense, yeah.
That makes sense.
Like if this was bigger.
If that was bigger, then it's going to bounce up even higher.
Yeah.
You can determine how much energy a wave is going to make, or like, you know, how big it's going to be if you just times the mass of it by the speed of light squared. Anyone recognize
Is there an equation for that? What could it be?
So one Sir Isaac Newton, just kidding.
Oh, we're spreading misinformation on this podcast now.
Einstein did once, he came up with a reaction that people love. People love it.
It's so popular.
Do you want to give it to the people?
E equals MC squared. Ooh. Ever heard of her?
So,
little equation?
All of that to say the energy that's coming off of a wave can be calculated by the mass of the particle that's moving around. Essentially. Some people like to see visual representations. People like learning in all types of different ways. I tend to be an analogy type person. So I like to think of the sun as a crowded concert. If there are a lot of like really high energy people and they are moving around, they're going to kind of make waves through the crowd. So if there's someone who bumps into you, you might bump into the person in front of you, and that might carry on through the entire crowd. And if the person is bigger, then that will be an even bigger bump.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing where it's harder to conceptualize the sun. It's really hard. That's basically what I've come to learn, is that it's very difficult to conceptualize the sun.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of chain reaction atomic bombs. Those are big and shaky and vibraty. And so just, you can imagine that it's making waves.
Yeah.
In space.
Yeah.
Just like it would make waves in the ocean.
Exactly.
If you put a bomb in the ocean.
Have we done that?
I'm sure we have. Ask the shark. The other analogy that I wanted to use was those ropes at the gym.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to take a rope and do like one little thing like this.
Yep.
And if you do that, you're going to notice the curve that you get is going to be kind of longer. But if you do it faster, you're going to get shorter waves.
Yeah.
So if you put in more energy into your wave is going to shrink in size. Same thing with the waves that we can't see, the waves that come off the sun. We also have a name for those waves, and that is the electromagnetic spectrum.
Ooh.
And I promise, we are covering a lot in this, and most of it's not sunscreen.
That is true.
But it's okay.
Yeah, this is like the prequel to our sunscreen
this is a prequel to sunscreen.
Yeah.
A wavelength is the measurement from one peak of a wave to the next peak of a wave.
The peak is the highest
The peak
part.
is the highest part. Yeah, exactly.
From the top to the top.
You could also measure from the bottom to the bottom, because
If
that'll
you
be the
want.
same. Yeah, tops, bottoms, all are welcome.
Exactly.
Our sun puts out a lot of different waves. We mentioned it's called the electromagnetic spectrum. But all of those waves can be measured and categorized based on their measurements. The shorter the wavelength, the higher the energy. Longer the wavelength, lower energy. I am also going to include a graphic for visual learners on this one.
Yeah.
Because, again, this one's very difficult to just conceptualize. Because even in the water, you can't really measure a wavelength. At least I can't or don't want to.
No.
All you need to know for this is that there is wavelengths.
Various types.
Various, yes. Call it the electromagnetic spectrum. It consists of gamma rays, X-rays, UV rays, microwaves, and radio waves in decreasing order of energy.
Radio waves are the longest.
Yes. This means that as the sun is boiling and zooming around, it's making all those different types of waves.
Yeah.
So what do those do? I'll give you a little brief on some of them. All we really care about is ultraviolet, but I'll give you a little something. So gamma rays, these ones are really intense.
Yeah.
Okay? You can imagine, because they are the shortest wavelength that the sun makes, so the highest energy wave that the sun makes. And again, hard to conceptualize the sun, but it's a million chain reaction atomic bombs. So the highest energy wavelength that is coming off of this would be the gamma ray.
Yeah.
So hard to conceptualize, but it's a lot of energy.
It's intense.
Yeah. So the gamma ray is actually what shoots off and starts chain reactions oftentimes.
That makes sense.
For other ones, because it's a very hot beam of radiation.
Yeah.
They're very, very hot. They're capable of atom ionization, which just means splitting atoms.
Yeah.
Separating the ions. Or that is why it's because of these gamma rays that they were afraid that the atomic bomb was going to start a chain reaction. We didn't, I don't know if they really knew where the gamma rays were going to go.
And again, like, we might as well just try and see.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, only one way to find out.
What could go wrong?
So that's gamma ray. Next, we have X-rays. You are probably familiar with an X-ray.
Yeah.
Right? We as humans utilize X-rays for bone imaging, medical imaging. We refer to them as X-rays.
Have you ever gotten X-rays?
Yeah. I broke both of my arms at the same time when I was in 3rd grade. So I had to get X-rays on both my arms. X-rays, you might be curious how they work, and really it's not that complicated.
Mm-hmm.
An X-ray sends out X-rays, and those go into your body, and your different tissues absorb different amounts of that radiation. Your bones are very dense and they absorb a lot of X-ray radiation, and the imaging picks that up as a white image.
That makes sense.
So it kind of just goes through everything else, all your other tissues, but then your bones kind of absorb it and glow.
And it's not like great to get X-rays, right?
No, because you are putting radiation into your body.
Yeah.
And you're glowing up those bones. So
Ooh, glowy bones.
Old glowy bones.
Oh, yeah, her bones glow. Glowy bones is crazy. Isn't that a Mario character? There is one called Bones. Maybe he glows in the dark.
Hey, at the end of the day, we all glow in an X-ray.
We're all just glowy bones.
All of our bones will glow in an X-ray.
Yeah. We're not all that different, are we?
We're really not. Gamma ray and X-ray. Those are the two highest energy waves that come off of the sun. And luckily for us, those are completely filtered out by our atmosphere.
She's so nice to us.
Next in energy is the real star of today's show and the reason that we're all gathered here today. And that is UV or ultraviolet. The prefix ultra means beyond. So the name means beyond violet.
That makes sense.
And it's because the next longest wavelength would appear as the color violet.
Because that's our like visible color spectrum.
The visible light spectrum. Beyond violet, or that the wavelength is more energetic than the color purple. So UV can be broken down into 3 categories.
I was about to say they're very creatively named.
They are very creatively named. And this is also based on the size of the wave. So it can be broken down into 3 categories: UVC, UVB, and UVA.
How long do you think it took for them to come up with those names?
I don't know why. It kind of bugs me that the highest energy is a UVC and the lowest energy wavelength is UVA. I don't know. Not a big deal.
If you're going to give them boring names like that, at least do it correctly.
Yeah. Call one of them UV Tyler.
UV Tyler. UV Jimmy.
And UV Caroline. Okay. So but those aren't their names. It's UVC, UVB, and UVA.
If we were around when they were naming them.
Someone give me naming rights to something.
Seriously, you're great at it. We just have some sort of chemistry principal called Tyler.
Okay, UVC. Ugh. UVC is also completely filtered out by the atmosphere.
As of right now.
That's so true. UVC, we don't worry about it for now. Mm-hmm. But if we run out of ozone, we might need to start making UVC sunscreen.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
UVB is next. This one is less energetic or longer than UVC. This wavelength tends to penetrate just your top layers of skin and can't go quite as deep as other UV, which we'll talk about. For that reason, UVB tends to be the primary cause for sunburns and a long-term tan. It stimulates your melanin production, and it also thickens your epidermis, which is your body's natural kind of defense mechanism to the sun. But as we will talk about later, it's not quite enough.
Yeah.
Your body's doing what it can, but it's not super human. It's just human.
Yeah.
So then after UVB, we have UVA. This is the longest of the ultraviolet waves, or the least energetic, but it penetrates deeper into the skin and causes photoaging. So UVA increases the number of enzymes that break down your collagen. So an enzyme is essentially a protein that like has a job to do. So UVA increases the number of these enzymes in your body that destroy your collagen and elastin.
Which leads to aging.
Yeah.
Like faster aging.
Collagen and elastin are parts of your skin that gives it
They
like
keep it
elasticity.
bouncy.
Yeah.
Bouncy and youthful.
When that is broken down, it results in fine lines and wrinkles. And then UVA can also be broken down into 2 further categories, which we will mention later. UV radiation is the highest energy wavelength that's able to pass through our atmosphere. So hopefully with all of that context, you can get a little bit more just general understanding of why UV is dangerous. We have gamma rays, we have X-rays, and then we have UV rays.
Yeah.
Like they're less dangerous than those things. That doesn't mean that they're good for you. Even though UV is the star of the show, and I gave you a little background on that, I do want to cover the other waves just a little bit because I don't want anyone to feel left out.
Oh.
Okay. So we mentioned visible light. This is a very, very small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it's the part of the electromagnetic spectrum that is perceivable by the human eye. So it means that there are waves going around, and this very small portion of waves we detect as light and color.
Yeah.
These waves are responsible for everything that we see. And if a wave in this range has a higher energy or a higher temperature, then it'll appear to be more of a blue color. So blue is energetically higher than red.
Which kind of pisses me off.
I kind of agree because it feels like it should be the opposite.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure what the universe was doing when it decided that, but whatever.
I know, so rude. If a wave is warmer in actual temperature, the light will appear what we call cooler or more blue toned light. And then if the wave is cooler in temperature or it has a longer wavelength or less energy, then it will appear to be more red or warmer. Yeah, so it's kind of confusing. It's because you can see this happening in fire. So near the source, it's blue. That's where it's hottest, is right at the coals. And then where it is tapering off from where we can now see it, it's red at the very top. And blue is a hot color and red's a cool color. Sorry.
Yeah. We didn't make the rules.
We don't make them. Speaking of blue and red, the visible light spectrum is also responsible for all colors. And things don't have colors. Rather, they reflect and color and absorb every other color. So this couch, it does not possess orange. It simply absorbs all the visible light waves that aren't orange and reflects orange off of it. So then we see the orange one because the other ones are passing through it. And the only one that's not passing through is orange.
It makes so much sense, but I kind of hate the concept.
So this is reflecting orange, correct? Maybe. Depends. Is it?
Stop it. I know where you're going to go.
This is reflecting a wave that is 590 to 620 nanometers long. Okay? So the cones in our eyes, we perceive that wave as the color orange.
Yeah.
But not everything would. Like Gimli, he doesn't have an orange cone. He has no red cones.
Poor Gims. That's my dog.
So her dog, he would see the same wavelength that we're seeing, but his cones don't register it as orange. They register it as a yellowish, goldish, brownish color.
That's so sad. There's so much joy in an orange.
Dogs only have the blue and yellow.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of brown over here. So it's possible that everything that we see as kind of a brownish color could just be a color that we don't have a cone to read.
Interesting. I also will say his favorite toys are a blue pig and a yellow banana squeaky toy. So I wonder if it's because he can't see the other ones.
Yeah, he might think they're boring.
Yeah.
Ultraviolet, star of the show, visible light. What comes next?
Who's to know?
Me. Infrared.
What could it mean?
I'm so glad you asked. You might be able to guess, but infra means below. So infrared means below red. So we cannot see an infrared light, but we can feel it.
Also, if you have night vision, you can see it.
You can, yes. Night vision uses infrared and TV remotes use infrared. I know. I didn't like learning that, but I did, unfortunately. We can't see infrared, but we can feel it, and we perceive it as heat.
Mm-hmm.
Because our sun is the star of today. If you are standing in the sun,
you're
standing outside and it's sunshiny, and you walk into the shade, you will notice that it gets cooler just instantly as you walk into the shade. And that is because you're blocking one of the directions that those infrared waves are hitting you. And we also use these. So like you said, in night vision, I mentioned TVs. Also, we use them in ovens or, things for cooking.
Yeah.
Speaking of ovens and things for cooking.
Great segue.
There's always a great debate in the heating and reheating space.
That community.
There's buzz in the reheating community over oven versus microwave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm typically a microwave user.
Same.
It's just so much faster.
There's also a third category that we don't have to go into called air frying.
Oh.
Cold?
Type A, type B. So microwaves, they actually work by producing a microwave actually. And it is a wave that matches the resonant frequency of water. Well, if you hit a tuning fork, it resonates. Okay, it vibrates. It makes a noise.
Mm-hmm.
That's the resonant sound or the vibration. So the microwave creates a frequency that resonates the water or shakes it up and down.
Yeah.
Basically, your microwaves are passing through your food and they're vibrating all the water in it really fast enough that it heats it up. But that is also why microwaving food can sometimes make it like sweaty.
Yeah.
Kind of just shaking the water around.
Yeah.
So sometimes it falls out. And then last but not least, but certainly longest, microwave. Radio waves.
You guys, it's literally 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
On the dot, actually. Wow.
Radio waves.
Mm-hmm.
And we use these for radios, but we also use them for things like cell phones. They can pass through many things like buildings and people, but maybe you've been driving and you've driven behind a mountain and you lose service. It's because the radio waves couldn't follow you behind a mountain. They don't pass through mountains. That's that. We've truly set it up. We are just getting into sunscreen now, right?
Holy moly.
But we're set up. We have the chemistry. We know
all the information you might need.
We have everything that we need. So what is SPF? What is SPF?
What's SPF?
SPF stands for sun protection factor. Protection, you might ask.
From what?
My sun?
Are you telling me that the giant 1,000,000-degree mass of atomic bombs is bad for me?
Yes. I'm sorry, but the sun does want to hurt you.
Oh, no.
Actually, in fact, the sun wants to hurt you so much more. But it can't because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
SPF is measured in a numerical scale. The number associated with SPF is the number you would have to multiply your UV power in order to do the same amount of damage as it would to unprotected skin. So that is kind of hard to understand, much easier to understand with an example. Yeah. So like if something is SPF 50, in theory, you would need to get 50 times more UV radiation than you normally would in order to get a sunburn. There are a lot of factors that go into UV and how much UV is happening around you, how much radiation is happening.
Does that also mean that SPF 50, there's a significant difference in how it will act on my skin versus someone with more melanin?
There is a difference.
Like if we stood outside in the sun, to say I would have to reapply first probably before they would because it would just take longer.
Yeah, maybe. Because, some people's skin does have more melanin in it. Yeah, so some people do have more natural sun protection factor already built in by having a darker skin tone. There are also other factors that go into it. Like I'm a really sweaty person. So like for me, I would probably have to wear sunscreen differently because it wouldn't stay on my skin.
Yeah.
People's skin absorbs sun differently.
Yeah.
It would be easy to simplify it into saying if you have SPF 5 and you normally get a sunburn after an hour, then you could put on your SPF 5 and spend 5 hours in the sun before you got a sunburn. In theory. Of course.
If it was perfect.
If it was perfect.
World.
Yes. That's also assuming that the amount of UV that you're getting over that duration of 5 hours is the same. And that's not really the case with the way the sun works.
Yeah.
You don't really get as much UV at night.
Do you get any UV at night?
Mm-mm.
That's true. You don't get as much. As much as 0. The way you said that just made me think like, wait, do we get UV in the dark?
Nah.
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. So I love bagels.
Mm-hmm.
And I toast mine at 4. So theoretically, if I could put SPF 30 sunscreen on my bagel, and if theoretically sunscreen protected from infrared, which is how we toast bagels.
Let's pretend like you have a UV toaster.
I have a UV toaster and I'm toasting my bagel at 4. I would need to set my toaster level to 120 to get the same toastiness if it had SPF 30 on.
Does it go that high?
No. Well, this seems easy, right? SPF is easy.
Yeah, one and done.
No. SPF only tells half the story. Okay? Because SPF is only a measurement of UVB. Why is it only a measurement of UVB? The answer is probably just because we didn't really know a lot when we started making sunscreen and we have more information now. So SPF is tested by applying the product onto human skin, live human volunteer skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then they test their skin under a UV light and wait until their skin reddens or skin edema, then wait for the sunscreen one to redden as well. And they see how much longer it took.
That sounds like a fun way to get skin cancer.
Yeah, but they probably get paid too.
So true.
And in this economy,
they have the money to get it removed.
In this economy. So what is the problem with this testing?
I don't see any issues.
Well, UVA doesn't cause skin redness. It's mostly just UVB because UVB is the one that causes sunburns. Yeah. UVA penetrates deeper into the skin and causes, enzymatic response.
Yeah.
It causes an immune response. UVB causes skin redness. So if we're using a measurement that is measuring skin redness, we're only testing UVB.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean? How can I make sure that we're protected from both of them? There is a term, broad spectrum. The UV range we already talked about. Technically, UVC, UVB, and UVA. UVC, get out of here. Our atmosphere has got you taken care of.
Yeah.
But UVA is also broken down into 2 additional categories. Also based on size. These ones also got really creative names. UVA 1. Can you guess the other one?
Could it be UVA 2?
It is. You're very smart.
Thank you.
UVA is longer wavelength than UVB. UVA 1 is a longer wavelength than UVA 2. So UVB, UVA 2, UVA 1.
I hate the way that they did this.
I do too. UVA goes deeper into your skin than UVB does. UVA 1 goes the deepest into your skin. UVA 2 goes deeper than UVB, but not as deep as UVA 1. So hopefully that pattern makes sense to everybody. Broad spectrum means that it contains the necessary combination of sunscreen actives to protect your skin from the entire UV spectrum. So why is broad spectrum important? Well, as a reminder, UVA penetrates deeper into your skin. That causes more damage. And it can also be much more difficult to see it happening because it's happening so much more internally. Yeah. So theoretically, it is possible for a sunscreen that has a high SPF value to not really effectively block out UVA. So there are 16 actives approved for OTC use in the US.
16, wow.
16. I think we talked about it last week, but in the US, there's a difference between a cosmetic and an OTC drug. So there are certain claims like sun protection that are governed by the FDA and are classified as drug claims. So sunscreen, drug, not
all
cosmetic.
the time. It's never a cosmetic.
Yes.
In the US.
In the US. Even though there are 16 different materials that we theoretically can use to block out the sun, that doesn't actually mean that each of these filters has the ability to protect us from the entire UV spectrum. So typically it'll only cover one of these. So it'll cover UVB, UVA2, or UVA1. There are a few materials that cover two of the categories. So if that's the case, it would usually be something like UVA1 and UVA2 or UVA2 and UVB.
Can I guess?
Which ones do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first guess is avobenzone.
No.
Octocrylene?
No.
Ah. Are there any that we commonly use or no?
Nope.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, I actually didn't recognize any of the ones that bridged two of the UV categories.
Really?
At least not chemical. Obviously, because of this, you can't just choose one active, throw it in a formula, and be good. Formulators need to use a combination of sunscreen ingredients to be able to cover the entire UV spectrum or to be a broad spectrum sunscreen. So, seems easy.
So simple.
You have 16 materials to choose from.
Yeah.
How hard can it be? Well,
so hard.
Exactly. The FDA limits the concentration of these materials that can be used as well as permitted combinations of these ingredients. So even though there are 16 different approved sunscreen filters that can be used, there is a lot of regulatory. You really can get into the weeds with what combinations are permitted.
Yeah.
And like I said, they all cover a different portion of the UV spectrum. And most sunscreens are only measuring UVB.
Also, another reason is because they can be really finicky to work with.
They can be, yeah. So even though it appears that there are a lot of options out there for formulations, once you get into regulations, there really isn't a lot of flexibility. And the reason for that in the US is typically, not always, but typically due to insufficient data to prove that that combination or concentration is safe and effective, and not necessarily data to show that that is inherently harmful. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So in the US, it's very, very difficult to approve new things because, like we mentioned last week, people in the US are very litigious. So it takes a lot. Like, you basically have to be like, I am positive that this won't hurt somebody in order for it to go through. And even then, it's like, it probably will. The combinations are usually due to like, these ones are tried and true and we know it's going to work, so we'll permit you to do it. Not so much that like, if we combine these two that aren't approved, it's going to hurt me or do something bad. That's not always the case. And like you said, things can be finicky to work with. Things can react with one another. There are a lot of things that go into it, but yeah.
That's interesting that the filters have been approved, but they still can't really functionally be used.
Yeah. I was actually shocked to find out there were 16 of them in the US.
Yeah, there are like, I can think of 5 chemical off the top of my head that we generally use. And then zinc oxide.
I made a list of 4 because there are 4 chemical filters that are very commonly used together.
Yeah.
You probably know which ones I'm going to say. In the US, because the regulation can get so tricky and like it can be kind of like a puzzle to figure out what you can and can't do. And you are also, after you do this, relying on SPF testing. There is a combination of 4 chemical sunscreens that is typically used together. That is avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene. So, avobenzone, do you want to guess what it covers? Or do you want me to tell you?
I think avobenzone's a UVA. Yeah.
Which one do you know?
I'm going to guess UVA2.
No.
Okay, I'm going to guess UVA1.
Yeah! Homosalate?
I think that's UVB.
Yes. Octisalate?
UVA2.
Nope.
UVB?
Yes. Octocrylene?
I think that's UVA2.
No.
UVA1?
No.
That's a UVB?
Yes.
Wait. Okay, then where's our UVA2?
Beats me.
So it's not...
We're not testing for it.
It's like broad spectrum in our definition, but...
Yeah. No, I found this out today and I said, to me, looks like there might be a bit of a gap in UVA2 coverage. Maybe. I don't know. I learned this today. So...
If anyone knows, where that gap is, please let us know. But that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So much UVB.
I know. But UVB gives us our SPF rating.
Yeah.
So.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I wonder what the other filters protect. Like, I wonder how many of them on the list of the 16 that are approved are like UV2 or UVA2.
I did have a list that was kind of interesting that I wanted to put here, but
we'll put it in the blog post.
Yeah.
In case anyone's interested.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because you can come across these. They're approved for use in the U.S. So you might find them. I personally, as a formulator, have only used I've used non-US approved sunscreens because I formulated for customers outside of the US, but...
Is ethylhexyl methoxycinnamate an EU filter?
Mm-hmm. No. Ethylhexyl methoxycinnamate is a US filter.
That was the 5th one that I was thinking of.
No,
that
that's
formulated with.
That's a US filter.
But we don't... what that is. Yeah, we don't see that one very often.
UVB.
What is going on with our UVA2?
I don't know. UVB. Sorry. Kind of weird that there's avobenzone, which is UVA, but then the rest are UVB. I would have to look into that more. So if you're interested in knowing what's going on with UVA2, let me know and I will look into it and I'll let you know.
That's fascinating. And zinc oxide.
Zinc oxide is broad spectrum. So
yeah.
Zinc oxide covers all of it.
Oh,
UVA1,
just inherently,
UVA2,
yes.
and UVB.
Maybe there's some merit to zinc oxide that I've been ignoring. I literally never think about zinc oxide. It's just not top of mind for me.
Zinc oxide, it is broad spectrum just on its own, but that is the only US approved filter. And as far as I know, the only sunscreen filter.
I would guess there are probably like Korean beauty sunscreen filters that cover both.
I don't know if it would do the whole spectrum though.
Yeah,
I would guess that they still have to combine multiple chemical filters to cover the whole spectrum. But I don't know that
I'd be curious. I
didn't really look much into outside of the US.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole episode on just that. There are definitely things that we could learn about and improve on. So that's one that I'm very curious to know more about.
Yeah. But we're doing more than a whole episode just on setting up the sun. So
yeah, we might have to split this into 2 parts.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Kind of a weird place to end it. But like I said, I got into editing and really just decided that this episode should be cut in half. I just didn't want to take out any of that general chemistry info because I really do think it could be helpful going forward. But this way I can include a lot of the details that we didn't originally get to. Before that, though, come back next week for Sadie's episode. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? Come back in 2 weeks and we'll actually go over all the sunscreen stuff. I'm sure I'm leaving you on a bit of a cliffhanger, but as you can tell, I have a few more questions that I want to have answered before we circle back. I will see you guys again next week. If you have any questions on any of this or specific sunscreen questions that you would like us to address when we come back to this topic, please let us know. Drop a comment. You can find us online, any socials at BeautyXBeaker. You can find us at our website, beautyxbeaker.com. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. If anything didn't make sense, if I got things wrong, which I know that I did because I overgeneralized a lot. I don't know if you need to know about d orbitals in order to understand why you should wear sunscreen. Either way, I hope you guys had a great time and I'm excited to see you next week.